Hey guys, I just wanted to say thank you for using my creator code whenever you purchase any Sims 4 DLC on the EA app or thesims.com. I receive a 5% commission each time you use my code, which means you're directly supporting me as a creator. I know there are a lot of codes floating around out there, so I am very grateful that you've chosen me to support in this way. Thank you so much. Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you're brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another apartment renovation. And we're at Pinecrest Apartments 402 in Evergreen Harbor, the world, of course, that we got with Eco Lifestyle. And we are renovating this apartment for a single dad and his twin daughters. I know, it's not super original, but I had a really good time decorating this apartment. As you can see, I did use the tool mod to change up the windows near the front there, so just be aware that if you do download this apartment, I don't believe those windows will be present, and that goes for PC and console players. I'm not 110% sure how it works, but I understand it is a little bit less accessible, so I just wanted to make sure that I noted that up front, but sometimes I like to play around with different windows in the tool mod, so this was one of those times. Also, if you have not been keeping up with a lot of my other videos, this is going up as a pre-recorded build because I am currently on maternity leave. I have no idea when I'm going to be back. I don't anticipate being gone for too long, and you never know, I might jump on and be able to make stuff sooner than I anticipate, but I just wanted to make sure that I gave myself and my new baby time to spend together and adjust to being a family of 3 at this point, which is really, really wild to think about as I pre-record. But anyway, as you can see, the living room is coming together at this point. This was a really, really tough layout. I was trying to do a different layout. That was my goal. I've done so many apartment renovations in San Myshuno as well as Evergreen Harbor. And even though we can freely place windows on most parts of the Evergreen Harbor apartments, it still makes it really difficult to floor plan because you do still feel somewhat confined. At least I do. I feel very confined to the same kinds of floor plans over and over again. And sometimes I try to challenge myself. Like for this particular apartment, I've made it a 2-bedroom before. Maybe this one or the one next door. I don't remember. I think this one's a little bit smaller. Yeah, this one's smaller. The other one I've done 2 or 3 bedrooms before and made it work perfectly. This one I've done 2 bedrooms, but I've done it for maybe like a baby or a toddler or something like that. I don't think I've been able to fit more Sims. There could have been a time where I used bunk beds, which is exactly what I did here, actually, because of the twin daughter situation. So it's a little bit cramped. The girls' room is very, very cramped, but I thought that was more realistic for an apartment of this size, especially with this dad, who I had a lot of fun thinking about, and I have like a soft spot for this dad. I have no idea what he really looks like if I were in Create-A-Sim. Like I haven't really pictured him in that way, but I think that he was former military. That was my thought. And for those of you who don't know, my spouse is former military, so I'm familiar. I'm familiar with this, but I think that he is former military. Maybe they were last stationed in Strangerville, something like that. And he's kind of, maybe, I don't know if he's necessarily from there, but he was last stationed there. I don't think his girls really remember that much about Strangerville. Like, I'm thinking the girls are maybe like 6 or 7. I mean, they'd remember a good amount, I suppose, at that age, right? Yeah. Okay, so they remember a decent amount, but moving wasn't the end of the world for them. Like, for them, it was more of an adventure. Maybe they weren't super established. Maybe because he was in the military, they moved around so much that it didn't really faze his daughters when they had to move again. But this time he's out of the military, and even though he was able to save up a good amount of money while he was in, he decided to start them off in an apartment so they could look for like the perfect home so he could get a job and really feel established before he committed to like a mortgage. That was my thought. This is like, I'm applying like a lot of very real world scenarios to this particular household, but it made them feel so much more alive, and I really, really liked the thought. Now, I don't really know what happened to the other parent, the girl's other parent. I have no idea. I can kind of leave that all up to you. You can come up with whatever story you would like. But I would like to think that they're still involved, but perhaps dad has always been the primary parent And the family thought it was best, whether it was like kind of a divorce situation or whatever, the family thought it was best that the girls stayed with their dad, and they were thrilled with that decision as well. So it's all very, very amicable. The girls are happy, and that's what's most important, right? But as you can see, the living room and the kitchen are pretty much together at this point. Once I reached this point, I started to like the apartment. I spent a lot of time on this space, as you can see. This is kind of a longer apartment renovation, especially for an apartment this small. Oh my gosh, this is like a 15-minute video. I didn't even realize. Usually my apartment renovations, at least in Evergreen Harbor for the Pinecrest Apartments, they might be 8 to 10 minutes. This one's a lot longer because the layout was tough. I didn't really know what kind of color scheme I wanted to go for. I knew I'd be limited on space. And I really struggled with this one. I did. I was even sending screenshots to my dear friends Rachel and Reese, who I constantly mention. And I was like, I hate it. I was like, I hate it so much. Tell me not to get rid of it. Tell me not to bulldoze it. And Rachel yelled at me, so I didn't bulldoze it. And I ended up really liking it. I think that the kitchen and living room are probably my favorite spaces. I will say the girls' room is not my favorite kids' room. It was just a very unique challenge because it was a bunk bed situation, and I was kind of going for a lot of mismatching. And even though I feel as though you can get away with that more so in a kid's room because kids' things don't match. Like you might have a matching furniture set, but all of the things they accumulate will never match, right? It'll just be pure chaos. It's not my favorite room, but I can't wait to hear what you all think. Also, I am using those retro event items that we got for that very first week of the retro event. At this point, I think at the point of this going up on the channel, we've already gone through the entire event. we've gotten all the items. The event's over. But we had like the milk carton and then the retro phones and stuff. I thought it was fun. It was fun to add those things. It made the build feel like a little bit older too, because of course a wall phone, you rarely see it nowadays. My mom still has one. She still has a landline, and I still remember my home phone number because it has been the same for as long as I can remember, which makes me feel both old, like at the same time as less old, because it's still a current thing, but it also makes me feel old because if I were to talk to somebody a lot younger than me, they genuinely may not know what I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit of a conflict. Anyway, we're working on Dad's room. You also probably saw me put down a little food bowl because I think that the girls begged, and I mean begged their dad to get a cat when they moved into this new apartment. Maybe they had been begging him for years, but because they moved so often, he really didn't feel comfortable getting a pet that they had to take care of. Especially with being in the military, you may not be spending a lot of time at home, unfortunately. And he knew that the girls weren't going to be able to take care of the cat by themselves. But now that he is out and he's able to be home with them more and kind of have a stable schedule and all that fun stuff, he was like, okay, fine, we can get a pet, but it has to be a cat because I'm not walking a dog all the time, especially if we're in an apartment building. Like he pretty much drew the line there. So they got a cat. Maybe they rescued the cat from a shelter or something. Maybe they got like an elder cat, even though the girls were like, we want a kitten. And he's like, we'll see what they have at the shelter because that's our best option. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of how it kind of came together. So I put the cat box in the hallway. Is it ideal? Absolutely not. Now, when I was in an apartment, which was only a couple years ago, we had to put, because I have a cat, we had to put the cat box. Originally, it was in the bathroom, and that was miserable. That was miserable specifically for me. I absolutely despised it. And then what we ended up doing, and you all can think I'm gross, I don't care, because the living room in this apartment was actually a decent size, and we had a little balcony door, well, patio door, I should say. We had like a little patio because we were on the ground floor. And we put the cat box in the living room on a mat near that door because it was the best spot. It was like the only spot we could think of. It was awful. Our laundry space was in the kitchen, so that was a no-go. We're like, we're not putting a cat box in the kitchen. That's absolutely disgusting. I don't want to do that. And I say that, but at the same time, I understand that people got to do what they got to do because if you don't have the space, you have to find the best spot possible. And maybe that is in the kitchen. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not here to judge. I'm just saying that for us, that was not going to work. So is it ideal that the cat box is in this little hallway with the laundry? Not really, but it's the only place that it would have fit because the bathroom was too small and you already have 3 Sims sharing it. And that just would have been too much in my opinion. So Dad's not super happy about the fact that there's a cat in the house because he feels like they don't really have the space, but he was thrilled to be able to get the girls a pet because they had been begging him for so long. So he basically said, like, you two need to stay on top of cleaning the cat box. Like, I will make sure that the cat is fed, that the cat goes to the vet, etc. You two are responsible for the cat box. And he was kind of saying it as like a test, seeing if they would be willing to do the dirty work and have a pet. And to his absolute shock, they have been on top of it ever since they got the cat. They don't complain. They switch off. They even made their own schedule. And he's like flabbergasted. he's absolutely flabbergasted. He's like, they really called my bluff. Okay, then I guess we have this cat. And it's not like he doesn't like animals or cats specifically. I think he's becoming more of a cat person as well. And like when he's alone with the cat, maybe when the girls are at school or something, he's just like, so you really weaseled your way into our house, didn't you? Huh? Like he talks to the cat like it's going to talk back to him. I don't know. It just seems like a really cute little dynamic between this maybe like rugged, stereotypical former military man and his soft spots for his daughters, and now this cat. And like I said, I think it's like an elder cat. Maybe the elder cat too was kind of grumpy like him. Maybe the cat's more aloof, specifically with him, but only at certain times. But like absolutely loves the girls. And he's like, of course that would be the way this is going to go, right? I get this cat, thrilled that it loves my kids, but it doesn't like me. And I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm starting to warm up. Like, it seemed fun. Anyway, we're decorating the girls' room. I could just keep blabbing because I had a really fun time thinking about this family. And as you can see, it's very, very cluttered at the moment. Even for me, this was becoming too cluttered because I was also thinking that even though they are, of course, kids, I was thinking that because they moved around so much, they likely didn't have a lot of things. You kind of want to pack light or travel light if you're moving all of the time. But at the same time, maybe because they now feel like they're in a more permanent spot, at least for a longer period of time than some of their other homes previously, the girls have been able to accumulate more things maybe in the past couple of months than they ever have before. And they're shocked because their dad is just like, yeah, let's go ahead and get it, right? Let's go ahead and hang up that on the wall. Let's get you this. Let's do that. And they're just like, oh my gosh, I've never been able to just like fill my room with stuff before, right? Like they're just thrilled because they really get to make this space their own, even though it's so small. Like I think he was worried that they were going to be upset that they had to share such a small space. And they were just so excited because they were like, oh my gosh, it's our room. Like we can get our own bunk beds and like decorate and do all this stuff. And all in all, he was so worried about this shift, as he always is, maybe every time that they've moved in the past. But this time, he just feels as though it's the right move. His girls are settling in great. They have a pet that they absolutely love. And maybe he's just about to start a job that he's really excited about now that he's not in the military. That was my thought. I hope you enjoy that kind of like dynamic and the story that I was thinking of for this apartment, because for me, it really brought the apartment to life and I enjoyed it so much more once I started to actually really think about the Sims that lived here. Because sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm just like decorating a family home and going about my day. Other times I have like, let's say the equivalent of like a 3-page backstory prepped for a family, you know, there's no in between for me. But this is pretty much it for the apartment as well. I'm just adding a couple more decorations to the girls' room, and then we go ahead and decorate and furnish the bathroom, which to me is very boring, as I always say. It's not exactly exciting. Bathrooms aren't exciting to me. The only exciting part is that the girls picked that shower curtain, and he's basically letting them take over the apartment, which I love. But hope you all enjoyed this one. I can't wait to hear your thoughts, and I will catch you next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Some people have written books, some have a great look that covers the magazines for kids who are 17. But I don't know what to do, staring into the blue sky and just waiting for a sign. Some, they are certain of what awaits them.